All right, everyone, it is Dokkan time again, and today we'll be going through the build video for the physical Mercenary Tao. This unit is released over on 5/29 of 2025, and he's pretty good. I think he's pretty crazy. He's got good Unga Bunga damage, and I mean, there's a couple caveats here and there that I think you should be aware of when using him, because on paper, he might look a little deceiving, and I guess that's kind of just in the nature of using Tao, or Tao in general. So, but anyways, you know how it goes. We're going to go through the breakdown of the unit. We're going to go through the defense of the unit, and then we're going to go through the build suggestions, and then we'll go through the roll tips. At any point in time, you can go ahead and click the links in the description below and just hop ahead if you want to just see the builds or the roll tips or whatever have you. So, let's get into it. So, he has very few leaders. There is almost no leader options for him in general. He's got Path to Power Kid Goku technically, but I would say the only other leader than himself is just AGL Kid Goku. That would be the only other 220 lead that he can actually be a part of. So I would just kind of go forward assuming if you don't have AGL Kid Goku or you don't pull him, there's not really much of a reason to have him because those are his only two team options as far as I can tell at the time of writing. He does have really good damage, I will say that ahead of time. So, I mean, even if he's only on a 170 team, he might still be doing some good damage, and I think you could use him for a couple scenarios. But anyways, his leader skills includes a new category, the new category being Mission Execution. And then his other leader skill is Earthbred Fighters category, He plus 3 HP 200%, and then an attack and defense of 170. And he will give a 50% boost to HP attack and defense to characters that are also on Seekers or Earthlings category. This is a pretty niche category in my personal experience. In fact, I would not be surprised if you rock him as a leader for Mission Execution, and the majority of units you might even end up bringing are just straight up not on his full 220. Most of the units that are on Mission Execution probably will not be on Seekers or Earthlings. Probably could see a couple of them on Seekers, but not on Earthlings. I think it's going to be a very niche category, potentially. His super attack is massively raising attack for one turn, and then lowers the enemy's attack and defense. So, no defense on super, unfortunately. His passive skill is actually pretty straightforward, thankfully. He does have an intro, which is the song that you're listening to right now, which is really crazy good song. Like, let me stop talking for a second just so you can enjoy it a little. Okay, so with his intro, he randomly changes key spheres a certain type to rainbow key spheres. So this only procs the one time, so the very first turn, he should be just randomly changing key spheres to rainbow that first turn, and then he stuns all enemies for that turn. He also has attack plus 100% and chance of performing a critical hit and damage reduction rate of 50%. So you do have to basically activate his intro in order to basically have the majority of his kit, because that's where he's getting that 50% damage reduction and 50% chance to crit. Now the rest of his kit is Key plus 2, attack and defense of 200%. He gets another damage reduction rate of 30%, so naturally he has 80% damage reduction. And then he has 30% chance of performing a critical hit. So he actually has 80% chance to crit as well. And you know what that means? You don't need to give this guy any crit whatsoever. If you don't get a crit at 80% chance to crit, I'm sorry, you just were not meant to crit. When attacking with 12 or more key spheres, attack plus 200%. For every rainbow key sphere obtained, attack plus 200% when attacking. When receiving an attack, defense plus 200%. When receiving an unarmed super attack, 70% chance of nullifying it and countering with a tremendous power. And when the target enemy is in the following status of stun, so once they're stunned, he gets an additional attack plus 500%. He performs a crit automatically, and he gets another attack plus 500% when HP is 70% or less. So there is a little bit of information here. He gets this extra 500% attack if your HP is below 70%. So basically, if the enemy is able to be stunned and your HP is below 70%, that means you can get a 1000% increase on attack and perform a crit automatically. That is insane. It's almost unlikely that it'll ever happen, but if it ever does, dang. Good luck to any enemy that actually lives that. This right here is basically new Devilman. Tao is the Devilman, basically. But anyways, he does have an active skill, which causes ultimate damage to the enemy and stuns them for 1 turn. If they can be stunned, they have to be able to be stunned to be stunned. And then he changes STR and intelligence key spheres to rainbow key spheres. Now, the active conditions are as follows. When there is a Dragon Ball Seeker or Kamehameha category enemy, or when all allies attacking in the same turn are mission execution category characters, once only. So theoretically, you could actually do this turn 1. This is a very potential possibility. His link skills are Crane School, Supreme Warrior, Coward, Incredible Venture, Dodon Ray, Brutal Beatdown, and Fierce Battle. More than likely, the only links you're going to have active with him are Incredible Adventure, Brutal Beatdown, and Supreme Warrior. There's very few, if not none, that exist that will have Crane School, Dodon Ray, and Coward that will actually be on the same like team with Tao, other than himself, of course, being Mercenary Cyborg Tao. The problem is like, at the time of recording, there is no Cyborg Tao that is worthy of tagging along with him. Every other Cyborg Tao is just terrible, kind of. There's the newly Easy Aid Tech Cyborg Tao that is okay, but he's not good enough for like actual meta-worthy difficult content. So his categories are pretty small as well, unfortunately. Mission Execution, of course, Earthbred Fighters, Dragon Ball Seekers, Earthlings, Dragon Ball Saga, Siblings Bond, Target Goku, and Sworn Enemies. Very few teams he can be really rolled out onto, unfortunately. But I do feel like he does have quite a few like options on the mission execution. So obviously there's himself and the banner unit, which is Tech General Blue. It includes PyCon. Let's see here, who else you got in here? There's PyCon. There's the new Golden Week hit. There's Glorio, of course. Pretty much every single Dragon Ball Heroes unit, if you had any of them. Tech Mai is on there. Let's see here. You got the Intelligence Fat Boo, which is very good for delaying turns. Let's see here. There's not too much else extra, actually. I mean, overall, the mission execution does have a lot of, what's the word I'm looking for here? Potential. There's a lot of potential in the possible team options you could get in the future. Possible EZAs in the future that could benefit the team, of course. So I do think that this is a good category for the future, but for right now, it's just okay. Like, it's good enough. As far as his actual link partners go, he doesn't really have link partners per se. It's more like he has partners that benefit him the most. Other than Tao, Cyborg Tao himself, he's never really going to link well with anybody else. He'll only even have 5 links. Like, there is no other unit in the game that links perfectly with him, other than himself. And even that's still only 5 out of 7. Otherwise, your probably next best link partner is going to be General Blue, just because he has 70% support, plus these few links that they do have together, of course. And then after that, I would honestly probably say Tech Mai. I would only say Tech Mai purely because she's a 60% support that also has a couple links going off. So I think that would probably be the best 2 partners other than Path to Power Phys Goku. The reason for the Path to Power Physical Goku is because if you have him on rotation, he's actually giving Tao an extra 8% damage reduction, which cannot be understated whatsoever. That extra damage reduction rate of 8% on top of the 80 he already has, that's 88% damage reduction and basically nullifies almost all the damage you could potentially be taking in the game. Almost. He's still taking damage. Remember, he doesn't have guard. So he can definitely take quite a bit of damage. We'll get more into that with the defense numbers in just a moment, but I just really had to point it out that this Path to Power Kid Goku, technically, for defensibility, is actually the best link partner. Not link partner, but the best partner in general for him just because of the additional damage reduction rate. But unfortunately, as time goes on, eventually this Path to Power Kid Goku will not be good enough for current standards of fights. And Tao has the uniqueness of that 80% damage reduction, where he can technically kind of just keep going up. Unless we hit like an absurd extra level of damage coming in, I don't really see him falling off too hard. He's always going to be useful because he has really good damage. And that 80% damage reduction kind of goes far for him. So, with that all being said, let's go hop into the defense numbers. All right, compliments to Halvard over here for the defense calculations, of course, as per usual. So as you can see, there's not much here. There's not much here as far as his defense goes. All of his defense is basically once he takes an attack. He has that 200% defense on receiving an attack, which will boost his start of turn defense up to 600k. So what this does mean is that if you did give him a bronze defense orb, it would probably count for a good amount. I'm not going to say like a huge amount by any means, but I would say if you gave him a level 5 to 7 defense orb, this could probably get bumped up to about 650, maybe almost 700 if you're, I'm not really sure on the defense calculations of that. But with the 40% support, he's already almost at 700k start of turn defense, which means with an extra 30% boost from General Blue, this would pump this up probably past the 700k marker. And definitely would still go up to the 700k with even Mai. So I do think that with the 88% damage reduction, even 80% damage reduction, he's surviving a good majority of damage in the game. It's just pure damage reduction, though, that's saving him. There is a couple people that actually did take the time to really do the calculations here. So this is the damage you're kind of looking at for when he's going to be tanking with 80% damage reduction. So a super unit attacking him is going to do a lot of damage, even with 80% damage reduction. This is taking into account of like 6 million. So this is 6 million damage coming at him. You know, this is quite a bit of damage. But the second that you go into the field of 88% damage reduction, all of a sudden, that's when it just pushes it down so much more. So, as of right now, I think he's pretty safe for the most part, as long as Path to Power Kid Goku is on the rotation and he collected the 5 key spheres in slot 3 or the 7 in slot 2. So long as that happens, Tao can be in slot 1 and he'll be perfectly fine. I mind you, you know, if an STR unit hits him, you are going to take a good noticeable amount of damage. A lot of the people that, you know, are dissing him aren't understanding how much damage this guy can potentially do. He's got a lot of potential damage. There was somebody in here that did a damage calculations. I just cannot find out where it's at. But his damage is pretty dang good. His damage is really good. I do have some clips for damage, so actually let me go ahead and bring that up. All right, so here's a clip right now where we're gonna do a decent amount of damage. This is 4 rainbow key spheres, mind you. Now, in my calculations with the rainbow key spheres, basically every rainbow key sphere is like an extra 10 million damage. And that's not a joke. Every rainbow key sphere is basically an extra 10 million. I would say at base default, Tao is doing roughly around at rainbow 220 team with support. It's probably around the 18, 19 million, almost 20 million damage. You know, if he's at 55%, probably looking closer to 15 or 16 perhaps, maybe even 17. But we're at 70 million damage right there with 4 rainbow key spheres. 70 million damage. Mind you, he didn't crit. That was the worst luck I could have potentially ever had. Let me pull up some other clips here. Okay. So, this is a clip with no rainbow key spheres whatsoever. He's perfectly link partnered up, and he's going to have Glorio support on 50% right there. So, this is like bare minimum what he could have. Bare minimum damage at rainbow. 19 million. Now, as I said, probably more than likely, if you didn't have Glorio, if you only had him at 55%, that's probably looking closer to 15, 16 million. That's with no rainbow key spheres whatsoever. That's with nothing, man. That's with nothing. So, Let me see. How much longer did this go on? Okay. Okay, it's still going. Here we go, here we go, here we go. Yep, 19 still. So, as I said, as long as you have the, like, a 60%, 70% support unit with him, it doesn't really matter if you have, like, Cyborg Tao with him. It makes up the difference. So, General Blue, Tech Mai will both make up the difference in links as far as his damage goes. It's literally almost the exact same at that point. So, just keep that in mind when you're, like, thinking of partners for him. It's really just General Blue and Tech Mai that are his best partners, of course. And I think we did have Path to Power Kid Goku off rotational support. It was like attack 8%. You know, it doesn't amount to too much, but it was pretty decent. So, how much longer does this clip go on for? I think that was the end of the clip. So we got another one here. This is the beginning of the Vegeta story, Red Zone Stage 9. 70 million damage right off the bat with 4 Rainbow Key Spheres. I think it was like a perfect start of turn rotation. Yeah, perfect start of turn rotation. 84 mil on a double super, linked up with General Blue and Path Power Kid Goku on the rotation. Literally, basically one-shotted the big furry dude right there. Bergamo, not Bergamo. I don't know why I said Bergamo. So this is without a proper, like, support right there. This is just showing you why Rainbow Key Spheres are so important with this guy. He's at 60 million. So as you can see, it really highly depends. Your damage is just going to go up. It's going to go up or down, man. It's just a huge, crazy amounts of different damage coming in and out of that guy. It's just highly dependent on your partner and highly dependent on your Rainbow Key Spheres. I cannot stress enough how much you need Rainbow Key Spheres. I really cannot. So here's a rotation where we have Cyborg Tao linked up with him along with the 70% support from General Blue. Let's see how much damage we can really output here. $81 million. That is crazy. He's got an 80% chance to crit, regardless if he's at 55% or not. This next attack is only at 3 Rainbow Key Spheres. I think what I was trying to emphasize here was that you're going to run into situations where it's not possible for you to get 7 Key Spheres with Path to Power Kid Goku and keep him on rotation. Because that's the big thing here, is that a lot of people are really wanting to keep Path to Power Kid Goku on rotation with Tao, but getting 7 Key Spheres for Goku, along with getting as many possible Rainbow Key Spheres for Tao at the same time, it's extremely difficult. It's not even orb management at that point, it's just pure luck. It's just pure luck on that. So you're going to have to balance it out. Do you give Tao as many Rainbow Key Spheres as possible? Or do you keep Kid Goku on rotation along with giving him that extra damage reduction? So I think what you should be thinking about is, you know, if Tao is in slot 1, you know a super is going to come in from like one of these Jiren units, and you got Path to Power Kid Goku on the rotation. Either put Goku in slot 3 and just make sure you collect the Key Spheres, or keep that sucker on rotation with him and know when to use him defensively. Because defensively, I mean, he can be a slot 1 tank, but he has to have Path to Power Kid Goku's orb passive where he gets the extra 8% damage reduction to him. If you don't do that, then he's just not going to be able to be in slot 1 at these higher ended parts of the fight. And I can't stress that part enough. That's the part that really matters. So, but yeah, I mean, he's really good. He really is. He's super good. I cannot stress enough how much you need the Rainbow Key Spheres. We only got 2 Key Spheres right here, but you really need to either get 5 in slot 3 or 7 in slot 2 to get that extra damage reduction. And it's just really hard. It's really hard to give him all of the Rainbow Key Spheres that you possibly can, while still trying to aim to get 7 key spheres in slot 2. I mean, we could only get 6 in this clip right here. It's just really, really random luck. You know, I wanted to try... I resetted the turn right here. I got 3 right there. I now can only get 5 key spheres for Goku. So I have to float him in order to get that damage reduction. Mind you, this early in this fight specifically, he doesn't need to worry about it. I think it would only be when you hit Jiren Jiren phases, or, you know, bosses that extremely stack up a lot of damage, to really actually worry about him defensively without Path to Power Kid Goku. Otherwise, the majority of the rest of the fights, he can be fine in slot 1, just because he has such a high damage reduction amount. But overall, I would say you should probably put him in slot 2 if you can. It's mostly with Path to Power Kid Goku that he's 100% safe in slot 1. He just really wants that extra 8%. It's crazy how much 8% damage reduction really matters. Anyways, so let's just go ahead and get into his build suggestions. Alright, so I have several builds for y'all on this guy, of course. I'm going to have your 55, your 69, your dupes, and a little bit of an extra one on the end. So, as far as his 55% goes, so 55 means no dupes. You have no dupes, you just have him, just the 1 copy of Tao. He is a physical type, so he starts off with a level 5 additional. I would highly suggest just putting the silver level 5 additional, and then the level 2 bronze additional into him, which will give him an extra 7. So that would go from 5 to 12. So that is a 24% chance to additional in total, because for every level of additional is 2% chance. So that is what I would suggest for a 55%. I really wouldn't suggest going any other route. I don't see any reason to. Let's go on to the 69%. The 69% build, which is just 1 dupe, which would be the bottom right path. With that option for you, you'll have 9 extra points to really be going into one specific area. So that level 5 goes all the way up to a 14, and you will be able to get that to 21 with that same silver additional and same bronze additional orbs, going up to 21. So level 21 is a 42% chance to additional attack. Now, you will have 1 extra node left over. I just suggest throwing it into dodge. Just throw a random 3 dodge in there. Why not, man? Why not, right? Everybody lives on a 3 dodge. But let's move on to the duped builds. This is one of the very few units in the game where I would honestly say you can literally full on additional. I don't see any reason not to with how high his damage is. He's got 80% chance to crit, if not auto critting. There's just no reason to give him crit. And with the 80% damage reduction, as long as you have Path to Power Kid Goku with him, he doesn't really need the dodge either. Now remember, 1 level of dodge is just 1% chance to dodge. That is it. So it's not like it's going to be, you know, saving your bacon at all points of time. But this, the additional... Oh my god, you saw the damage clips? You saw the damage numbers. Those damage numbers you can go from freaking 60 million to an 80 million right after that. You can do over 100 million damage with this dude. Literally turn 1 in some instances. If he additional supers. Yeah, I want him to additional super. This dude's Devilman. He's basically Devilman. So yeah, I would honestly suggest just straight up full additional into this fool. Full additional. But, you know, for those that do feel that you don't need that level 2 bronze, I completely understand. You can change that bronze into a level 5 attack orb or a level 7 attack orb, whatever the highest attack orb you got is. I think at rainbow status, an extra boost to his damage wouldn't be a bad idea whatsoever. I think it would be amazing. I think it'd be a great idea. Remember, at level 30, that's a 60% chance to additional. With a level 2 additional orb, that would just put it at a 64% chance. 64 is pretty good chance. 60 is also a good chance to additional. Just remember, when you're doing an additional attack from the hidden potential system, you're only having an additional chance to additional. So he has a 60% chance to potentially additional normal or additional super. There is a 50-50 chance of being a normal or a super attack. So you take wherever you want to, what route you want to go with that. I personally will be probably doing this right here, going full on 30 AA for him, additional attack, and then I'll probably put an attack orb myself. That's probably what I'll do, but I wouldn't be honest. I really wouldn't be saying it'd be a bad idea to just go straight on full additional. I think it'd be perfectly fine. So, but anyways, with the build suggestions out of the way, let's just go ahead and move on to the role tips. So with role tips, there's not much here. There's not much to go on. He himself is his best leader, and then of course the AGL Kid Goku is the next best thing. As far as partners go, if we had a good Cyborg Tao, that would be his best link partner. Unfortunately, we don't have a good quote-unquote Cyborg Tao at the time of writing. Maybe in the future we got a new Cyborg Tao and he's amazing. Maybe we got his master or a TN that is stupidly good in the future, and maybe that'll be his next best partner. Who knows? Who's to say? But as of right now, on May 29th of 2025, this is the best choice. General Blue is the 100% the best link partner along with stats, because General Blue gives 70% support along with 3 links to Mercenary Tao. And then of course we have Path to Power Kid Goku purely for that extra 8% damage reduction. So defensively he is the best option, which is why in the best slot positions down here for slot 1 you'll see I have it in a weird wonky way on the screen. You can see that I have Path to Power Kid Goku linked up with him to be able to put into slot 1. He can pretty much go into slot 1 all the time. During my tests and my calculations and my editing, during my editing process, this is what I came up with, because at 55% you might have a different mileage. On a 170 team you might have a really different mileage. And for a lot of players, I assume you will not have General Blue. I assume you probably didn't get Mai. So I do feel like the amount of support might be lacking for a lot of players' pockets. And I don't feel like for the majority of players that slot 1 will be viable at all points of time. So slot 2 is probably his best bet, and especially far off into the future, slot 2 or even floating might be his best bet, because he's just a really good damage dealer in all honesty. That's mainly what he's here for. He's tanking all normals. All normals. No matter what. If he doesn't tank a normal, I'm calling hacks. Maybe super far off in the future, maybe a stupid gimmicky boss will make it so he can't tank a normal, but 80% damage reduction goes a long way. 80% damage reduction goes a long way. And with that extra 8% from Path to Power Kid Goku, he can go to slot 1, no problem. But yeah, other than that, I mean, Tech Mai, General Blue, Path to Power Kid Goku, he doesn't really have too many other partner options. This is what I would suggest. And yes, I did change his role tip icon to a glowing red fist that's cracked. Because he is kind of cracked, not gonna lie. So, I think that's about it. I think that's it for the video, guys. Please do let me know, how are you gonna build Mercenary Tao? Are you even gonna summon for him? What teams are you gonna use him on? What build suggestion are you going to use? Or are you just gonna ignore mine and do whatever you like? Maybe some people are gonna go full dodge. I don't know. So they're all just suggestions at the end of the day. Anyways, guys, good luck on your summons. Thank you for watching. And I hope you have a good day and a good night.